Welcome back to Low Tech MTG, and today we're gonna do another low tech video, and basically you're gonna watch a PowerPoint presentation. So let's get right into it. Today we're gonna talk about my EDH decks. We're not gonna go in depth with them, but we're just gonna talk a little bit about the basic idea behind each of them. First up is Narset Enlightened Master. We already did a deck tech on her. She wants to take all the turns and basically kill you in one attack step, even though it's not technically one attack step. You have to take all the turns and attack multiple times, but the goal is to attack once with her, and then your opponents never get a turn, and you just kill them. So she's the only creature. It's a lot of extra turn cards, a bunch of counter spells, fast mana, and things like Omniscience and Enter the Infinite. Next up is Maelstrom Wander. Maelstrom Wander kind of started as a janky deck. It's basically permanent tribal. The only non-permanent in the deck is Primal Surge, which of course will win you the game. Basically, Primal Surge says flip over cards from your deck until you hit a non-permanent and put all the permanents into the battlefield. Well, if your deck is all permanents except for Primal Surge, and you have a whole bunch of things that draw cards when they enter, you have Lab Maniac in your deck, and you have things that prevent your opponent from casting spells on your turn, well, you just win with this 10 mana sorcery. And I've done it on turn 3 or something stupid by accident. No basic lands, just because I wanted to build it with no basic lands, but there's a lot of combos, and sometimes it just does silly things. Kalia the Vast was an experiment in the 8x8 method of commander deck building. So you start off with 35 lands in the appropriate colors, kind of do what you need for the color balance, and then you take 8 groups of 8 cards each to get another 64, plus your commander is 100 cards. So we went with 8 angels, 8 demons, 8 dragons, 8 targeted removal, 8 mana ramp, 8 card draw. We bucketed off 8 buckets and filled them with 8 cards. And there were angel, demon, dragons, and there was kind of like a fun one, which was things like sneak attack. Just spicy kind of cards that kind of fit with the rest of the deck. And then there was mana ramp, and then there was card draw. So we just went hard on the 8x8 theory of deck building there, and it worked out pretty good. She's pretty mean. I specifically didn't include boots to give her hexproof and stuff, but so if I put that in there, she'd be a little meaner, but I wanted to give my opponents a chance. Locust God is card draw tribal. The first iteration of the deck, literally just if the card said draw a card, I put it in the deck. Second iteration, I put in some better fast mana, some counter spells to help protect the god, and he can murder people pretty good. You wheel a couple times in a turn, and you have a whole bunch of dudes, and you can just overwhelm them with these little insects. Or you overwhelm them with insects, and then they Golgari charm you when you attack. I mean, either way, it's fun. You draw a lot of cards. Zakama Primal Calamity I built as a 1v1 Naya control deck. In our group, we don't use the online 1v1 list, so I get to do fun things with, Soul Ring and Mana Crypt and the White Tutor to get things. But really, this is just, there's a lot of point removal, and it basically just wants to ramp into Zakama, and then as soon as I untap with Zakama, it's kind of all over. Muldrotha is graveyard tribal. I had a Sidisi deck and a Gitrog deck, and this is kind of when Muldrotha came out, I twitched a little at how awesome this was. So I basically took those 2 decks apart, put them into Muldrotha, and now you just get things out of your graveyard every turn doing dumb things. I haven't put Lion's Eye Diamond in yet because I only have 1 and it's in the cube, and I don't want to pull it out of the cube. But with Lion's Eye Diamond, Animate Dead, and Phantasmal Image, and Muldrotha, you can now make infinite mana, infinite storm, and then you can cast like a Walking Ballista and kill everybody. Or you can just get insane value replaying things out of the graveyard every turn. Dragon is the most recent build. I tried it out the other day and it's pretty sweet. It's, 5-color dragons, so there's a ton of dragons. There's a ton of 5-color lands. I put in a Scapeshift Guildgate Maze's End package for giggles because I opened a Scapeshift in M19. Or rather, I traded for one. And it's spicy. There's some goofy things. You try to make a bunch of mana. There's a Fist of Suns Joda package, so you can cast things for 5 mana. So I put in Omniscience, and then you can just cast all your dragons, and they'll give them all haste and attack and make a bunch of dragons. There's a lot of token making, and there's a lot of EDB and when dragon attacks triggers. It's a lot of fun. SRAM is one of my... Well, I had a green monocolored deck. It was basically just cast Craterhoof and win, so it kind of got a little boring. SRAM is equipment tribal, so you want to just play all the equipment, draw all the cards, play dudes to carry your equipment, and suit up something with a whole bunch of equipment. Usually SRAM, because then you can go for commander damage, but sometimes you put it on a... that 5-mana Eldrazi Endbringer. He does some damage when you give him Death Touch, and he untaps every turn. Other than that, you can put things on angels. You're making flying things. And of course, you're giving it hexproof the whole time and indestructible, so you can do some dumb things. You can put World Slayer in the deck, and if you have the indestructible equipment that gives your creature indestructible, then now you just wipe the board every turn. So that's fun. And finally we have Anawan the Ruin Sage. This is my first deck. I think I watched a Tolarian Community College video, and I really liked what the prof was doing, so I kind of took that and ran with it. And this deck, I've kind of... this deck I've sort of like just... whenever I buy cards for it, I try to get foil versions or fancy versions, and this is kind of the fancy deck. So it's obviously mono black, it's vampire tribal, it's trying to do, pay life for things and get vampires out, and sometimes combo you out with the Exquisite Blood Sanguine Bond combo, because that's very flavorful for vampires. It's sort of Anawan, but I'll switch it around between Anawan and the new Kalitas, because the new Kalitas is pretty boss. There's a lot of legendary vampires in the deck, so you can kind of do whatever you want. Kalitas is actually turning out to be a little bit better of a commander. He doesn't die as quickly. Everybody wants to kill Anawan, so he dies a lot, but it's a lot of fun. So that's it. We have Narset, Maelstrom Wander, Kali of the Vast, Locust God, Zakama, Muldrautha, the Dragon, SRAM, and Anawan. A few of the decks that have come and gone include, we had Sidisi, Gitrog. Oh, what's that green guy that taps to go get a creature? Yisan, the Wandering Bard. He's been and gone. We've tried a few Brea decks. But there's another player with Brea in my group, so I let him, experiment with Brea. And yeah, and there's never a time when I'm not itching to build something new or have some new idea. So maybe I'll revisit this video in a year and see what the list looks like at that point. But for now, thanks for watching.